Coyote fans, welcome into another episode of the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. It was a tough week for Coyote Volleyball, dropping matches at home in Summit League contests against St. Thomas and Omaha. Here to talk about it is the head coach of South Dakota, Leanne Williamson. Coach, obviously a very tough week. Your team coming off of a couple of sweeps to open up Summit League play, and then you get home. A lot of excitement to be back at home, and last Thursday, St. Thomas, they hit extremely well in set number one and just seemed to keep South Dakota out of rhythm.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We had a hard time getting into our game. You know, I think we felt a little bit stressed early on. St. Thomas was doing some really good things offensively. We also had some missed assignments in terms of whether it was blocking or defense, which obviously makes things probably a little bit more escalated. But I felt like there were moments, even set two, like we started pretty strong. I think we had built a 4 or 5 point lead, and then just like that, we had kind of given it back. So, I think the stress affected us a little bit more, and not that we anticipated not having to work hard, obviously, to win that match, but I think it stressed us out that St. Thomas hadn't had the success the week before, and then came in here and started out as strong as they did. But that's a part of the process. It's a part of the journey, as frustrating as it can be as coaches and players and fans alike. It's something that we had to learn from and get better from. And honestly, even though Saturday didn't end up the way we wanted to, we did get better from Thursday to Saturday, which was a really good thing to see from our team.
Set two on Thursday, 26-24, and you always wonder those ones that come down to the very end and go a little extra time. The result of that sometimes can tip the scales of the match.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think if we win that second set, it's a completely different situation, because then we're tied 1-1 instead of down 0-2. And again, you win that hard-fought battle there at the end. So, I don't think it helped in any way, shape, or form not being able to pull that one out. But I did feel like going into the third set, I felt good about where our team was at after our talk as a group, and we just again had a hard time kind of keeping it rolling. And unfortunately, with that too, we just made too many errors. We timely errors, whether it was attacking or blocking or serving errors. It tended to come in moments where, hey, we just did something really good, and then we gave them the point back with some of those unforced errors. So difficult to combat. Obviously, a tough conversation after the game, but definitely got better on Friday at practice, which I was really happy to see.
Well, and you needed that, and you needed to move on, because after a disappointing loss, sometimes you have to find a way to shed that disappointment and move on, especially with a team like Omaha coming in, which you knew was going to be one of the big challengers in the Summit League. What was the message between Thursday's loss and the start of the match on Saturday?
I mean, I think part of it is you have to hit those things head on, right? So we had a quick conversation and just kind of made sure that we understood what they felt, what they saw, and so that we were all on the same page moving on to even that practice on Friday. But so much of it was taking care of us. It was making sure we got back to Coyote Volleyball and playing the style of game that we want to and that we do on an everyday basis. So, that was the biggest message of like, hey, we got to learn from this and move on. We've talked a lot about failure not being failure unless you don't learn from it, and I do think we learned from it. I do think we got better, and again, I think that the message was just like, we got to be in the moment, we got to focus on what we can control, and that obviously started with practice on Friday and then going into that match on Saturday.
You mentioned the team got better Friday into Saturday's match. That match, Omaha takes set one. Your team battles back, wins set number two. Unfortunately, Omaha takes sets 3 and 4. What were some of the challenges that they provided in that match?
Well, number one, they have two players on the floor that have a ton of experience, in McKenna Ruck and Shayla McCormick, and they've been in a lot of those situations, the tough battles, the playing on the road, having to win intense games, and we started 4 freshmen, on Saturday, so there was the experience portion, but I do think those are the two that really affected us offensively. I mean, they were scoring the ball at a high rate and didn't make a lot of errors, but we actually limited a lot of their other players at a pretty high rate. Their other outside, they made some changes in the lineup there. Their right side, Jurgensmeyer, who's been really, really good for them all season, we limited her to hitting 0. So we did a lot of positives, on the defensive end, made some changes from what we saw on Thursday. Thursday was more of we weren't in the right spot. Saturday, I think we were following the scouting report a little bit better. So defensively, I thought we actually did our job pretty well. I mean, still things we can clean up, as there always will be. But to go back to it, the offensive side of things, we just made a lot more errors. And you make that many errors in a match, it's going to be really hard to come away with a win.
4 freshmen start on Saturday, and we've tried to talk about this all year. Even though this is a very, very talented team, there's still a lot of youth and inexperience in the Coyote program with this team. Some of the stuff has to continue to be a learning process.
Absolutely. And I mean, even if we had returners on the floor, even if we had people that played a lot of minutes last year, there's still a learning process. Every year is different. The team is different. The makeup is different. Other teams are different in terms of what we're trying to combat. And every year we have to go through some of these ups and downs to get ultimately to where we want to be, which is the best version of us. And we were not the best version of us on Thursday and Saturday, but I do think we took some steps forward in that from Thursday into Saturday. And I truly believe that this team is disciplined and determined to make some of those changes that we really need to make on our side of the net to get better this week.
Coyotes will look to bounce back this week when they play a match on the road in Summit League play. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast. Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined this week by Cheyenne and Hlady as the Coyotes look to bounce back this week as they get set to take on North Dakota. Cheyenne, tough week for your team, obviously. A couple of home losses in Summit League play. Started last Thursday, 3-set loss to St. Thomas, and then on Saturday, a 4-set loss to Omaha. You look at those matches, what struggled for your team?
I think it was, so on Thursday, I think we were prepared, like we came in ready, and I think they put up a great battle. St. Thomas came out guns blazing, and I think that we just we didn't fight back as much as we normally would. Like in the past preseason and through the beginning of conference, we've had a lot of fight, and I just think that coming to that match, we didn't fight back as much as we normally would. We were really looking to bounce back for Saturday. We, had a lot of conversations and tried to figure out what was missing, and came back Saturday hoping to end off on a win, but we got better, which is something that's positive. I think that the match completely was different from Thursday to Saturday, which is good to have some growth in those 2 days. However, it was a little disappointing that we ended up losing in 4, but we're all feeling really confident going into this week. It's just going to be part of our journey, and it's what's happened, so now we just battle with it. So we move forward.
You go through some of those matches, and sometimes it gets challenging as a hitter. You're not finding the alleys the way that you do sometimes. How do you mentally try to continue to press forward when it continues to build up, like not only team frustration, but individual frustration?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is taking every point like one at a time. And sometimes some games, the middles are going to be just huge scores, and some games the pins are going to be huge scores. So in certain games where I might be struggling, having the ball hit the floor, like what can I do to put ourselves in a better position on the back end? So am I taking out the setter so that we can, block out a system? Am I taking out a hitter by tipping, to the donut and, stuff like that. So just kind of taking it 1 point at a time and figuring out the best way to better the ball, I guess, is the best answer for that.
Coach Williamson, I know, has conversations with your team after every match, but in a time of adversity, how much of those conversations or extra conversations become player-led conversations to try to keep everybody on the same page? Yeah,
we after St. Thomas, it was a little bit quiet in the locker room. I think we all were I think we all kind of felt the same feelings after that match in the locker room, and Leanne had come in, and we just kind of reflected, and she talked about the match. And then on Saturday, I think we all kind of had time to really whatever it was, watching film or just reflect on the match. And we came and we had some conversations before that match about how it was just kind of going to be our get back, and that as much as it was a disappointing loss on Thursday. The opportunity to play Omaha, which is another team who's high in the conference, was a really big opportunity. I wish we came it on the other end, but I think that being challenged with a team who's with a really high caliber was really good for us and an opportunity. So yeah, a lot of those conversations we kind of just bounce off of each other and really listen to each other when we talk, because we have a lot of respect for each other. Like, our team is, as we said in probably every show you've done, very, very close. So, we have a lot of respect for what everyone has to say. And, yeah, we're definitely feeling good going into this week. I think we're all in a good headspace, knowing that we just have to move forward.
Moving forward, obviously, is important. So that's the big question. How do you flush the frustrations from the past week and squarely focus on what's ahead?
Yeah, I think it's going in and taking as much as a loss as a loss, but there are good things we did, and I think we have to kind of take those good things that we did in those matches, build off those, and then look at where our weaknesses were and where they got us, and really focus on those in the next 3-ish days before our next match. So I think it's just really being intentional through the next 3 days of practice, because when you're in conference, it's a really quick turnaround. I mean, we lost to St. Thomas, and a day later we're right back playing Omaha. So it's a quick turnaround, but I think just being really intentional with the hours we have in the gym are going to give us some confidence going into Thursday. And just cleaning up our side a little bit, I think will be really big for us on Thursday.
Road trip this week to North Dakota.
Yes.
As someone who's from Canada, it's kind of feeling like
close.
home getting up there, isn't it?
I'm almost there.
It's getting up there, so
getting
we're
closer.
expecting big things out of you being close to home.
That's
but
the plan.
Obviously, a big road trip just to get back on track and some of that. So what are you looking forward to this week?
I'm honestly just looking forward to a new opportunity. I feel like I might be kind of reiterating myself, but I think this is just, we've done what we did this past weekend, but the beauty of volleyball is we get to play another game. So I think going to this weekend, it's gonna be a really, really fun match. I think there's a lot of, nerves, or not good nerves coming in and confidence coming into this match. So we're hoping to come back with a W. That is the plan.
You go there, you get through that match, and then you get a weekend off. And
Yes.
I know the idea is to look forward only at the match that's ahead, but I know your team's well aware of a weekend of no matches. Do you feel as a player, is that set up at the right time for your team to have a weekend off?
Yeah, I think it'll be nice for us just to rest our bodies, honestly, a little bit, and honestly catch up on school, because unfortunately we are also students. It's
No, that's fortunate, not unfortunate.
Fortunately.
That's fortunate.
We do have all this schoolwork to do. I wish I was just here playing volleyball. I was actually just talking about that in film, yeah, I just want to ball, honestly, but here I am in my classes. So it'll be nice to catch up on some school and just have some downtime, which will be good. I think it came at a good time, and we'll be ready to battle the next week.
What do you want to see this week out of yourself and out of this team to give itself a chance to win on Thursday?
Yeah, I definitely, individually, I guess I just want to be the best version of me this weekend. I think this past weekend, I think I struggled a little bit offensively, so I'm hoping to clean that up a little bit, whether it's kind of finding some new shots or doing a little bit more film on their defense. But I definitely want to be a little bit more offensive, have a little more offensive success. And as a team, there's a feeling that we have when we play together, and I think I want to find that and get back to that, because that's what we've had all throughout preseason and the beginning of conference. So I think just getting back to the Coyote Volleyball feeling of playing will be really important for us. We had sights of it against Omaha, which is good. I was just in film, we were saying this is a team who just lost 2 games, but this is also the team that won 10, This is also the team that had great wins in preseason, had a great start to conference. So I think that we just have to get back to our roots.
All right, we'll look forward to that this week. Have a great trip. Good
Thank
luck
you.
this week, and enjoy your weekend off
Thank
and catching
you.
up on schoolwork and all that good
Yes,
stuff.
have to.
All right, thanks, Cheyenne.
Bye, guys.
All right, that's Cheyenne Hlady joining us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. When we come back, Coach Leanne Williamson will join us. We'll talk about that matchup coming up on Thursday against North Dakota. That is on the way. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. South Dakota volleyball team is on the road this week as they travel to North Dakota, looking to bounce back after a couple of losses in Summit League play. Leanne Williamson, the head coach of Coyote Volleyball, with us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. Coach, interesting week. You get one match this week. It's a Thursday night matchup at North Dakota. Obviously, it's setting you up for a lot of matches coming up, which we'll talk about in a moment. But a week this week where your team gets to focus on one team and one team only this week.
I think that's huge for us right now. I think it comes at a good time in terms of really being able to focus on our side of the net. But the other side of it is being able to limit some people. You know, we are dealing with some injuries here and there that I think are affecting us more than I would like it to. But I think it's a good week for this to be able to really focus on one match and then get a little bit of downtime over the weekend. But I think the great part is North Dakota runs a similar tempo to Omaha in terms of the offense. So it's something that we just saw. It's something that we were able to prepare for and honestly prepare for in one day. So the fact that we still have a few days to get even better at that and just to make small adjustments to what's going to be different between the two with their personnel is a really good thing for us. So I thought we handled that pace pretty well. I'm excited to see us get better at that even through this week. And then, obviously not too long of a road trip either, which is nice. But so much of this week is going to be focused on us in terms of making allowing us to play our style of volleyball on our side of the net. And I think that's where we lost ourselves a little bit these last two matches, but looking forward to that next opportunity.
I know you're obviously squarely focused on the match on Thursday against North Dakota, but people always wonder, what do you do with a weekend off? So you don't get the midweek off, you get the weekend off. How do you try to handle that with giving this team a chance to mentally reset from the game and some time off, but obviously you don't want to get too far away from what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're still going to do a lifting mobility type session on Friday, just get our bodies moving a little bit there. And then we will practice Saturday morning before the football game. Just taking 3 days off in the middle of the season just isn't something that we feel like is best for us. The reps are going to be important. So it'll be a shorter practice, but make sure that we get in, get our bodies moving, get our blood flowing, and get a few pretty specific reps in that we're going to want to see so that we're as prepared as we can for that following week, because then things get really busy for us.
Yeah, they certainly do. It'll be a stretch of 5 matches in about 10 days for your team because there's a Tuesday match thrown in there. So maybe the right time for a mental reset here?
Yeah, I think it comes at a perfect time. And, even if we would have been able to go 1-1 or 2-0 this weekend, I still think it would have been a really good a good time for us to be able to have this. But I think with the situation that we're in and with where we're at physically, I think that the one match this week is going to be really nice to prepare for, obviously what's coming up.
We saw this team earlier in the season drop a couple of matches. They bounced back very, very nicely. We've talked a lot this season about resiliency. Mm-hmm. You find out a lot about a group at a time of adversity, which is right now. What do you need to see out of this team this week at North Dakota to show that they can fight through the adversity, to show that resiliency and get back on track?
I mean, nothing is going to show that as much as just seeing us get back to ourselves, and I think when we've struggled, it's more so when we've lost our identity a little bit, and that's probably the bigger frustration right now. It's just how do we make sure that we're staying true to us? So resiliency for me right now is us bouncing back and playing Coyote volleyball, is flying around the floor defensively, keeping that ball alive, following the scouting report, being in the right spot, because we have the ability to be a very disciplined team, and again, something that we lost just a little bit this weekend. So I feel very confident. I've been able to meet with some of them this morning already of just being prepared for what we can accomplish this week in practices, and they feel like they're in a good spot. They feel like they've been able to move forward, obviously, from the 2 tough losses this weekend, and are ready to get back in the gym and get better.
Interesting time to have a road trip. Obviously, this whole week, it's D-Days. They talk about homecoming and the build-up, and I know you said you'll have practice on Saturday morning. Maybe good to be away during some of this time and away from distraction. But I got to ask you, coming up this weekend, practice on Saturday morning, what does Coach Williamson do for D-Days?
Well, I'm excited to watch the football game. I don't fully know if I'm going to be here yet because my 2 twin boys are going to be playing tackle football somewhere. So we'll be watching football. I just don't know where exactly, but I'm hoping that they play in the morning so that the whole family can come back and watch that football game. We've enjoyed being able to watch their season. They've been doing really well, and what an exciting time for Coyote Athletics. So we hope we can be here.
No question. Well, we'll see how the team bounces back this week. Coach, have a great trip to North Dakota, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Leanne Williamson, the head coach of Coyote Volleyball, and that's going to do it for us this week. I'm John Thayer. This has been the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.